Hey everybody, I'm Katie McDoyle and this is... Hey everybody, how's your week been? I hope you've been well. The weather's been nicer. It was lovely to wake up this morning to a frosty day with the blue sky. The ground was still fine though. First frost for us in Hampshire, or first big one. It was beautiful. And I got to go out with my new detector. I finally did it. I treated myself. Regton's, I sorted myself out with a XP-DS2. The Black Friday deal was superb. I got a free MI6 pinpointer and an XP finds bag, and then I treated myself to the XL headphones and super quick delivery. It arrived the next day. Thank you to the Regton folk. Took that out today, had loads of fun on Norfolk Button Boys Hammy program and Magnet program. If you check out on my Instagram profile, so Casey Metal Detects, I shared there on my stories the different modes I was using. Love the park mode. For me, it's not too beepy, not too many sounds in my head. And every time I use the park mode, I check to make sure it would be picked up on the general mode, and vice versa. When I did a bit on the general mode, I was still hearing it on the park mode, so I don't think I'll miss too much on that, and I'll tweak it to fit my soil. So yeah, loads of fun. And I was in a field that I've been in loads before, hadn't found much, and I just couldn't stop finding bits and pieces, little artifacts. Found a Victorian penny, watchwinder, musket ball, all sorts of bits and pieces. I haven't counted up all of the bits I pulled out the ground, but I think I was cracking on to 100 holes today. So it was fantastic, and I just can't wait to really restart all of my fields again. I feel like I have to start from the beginning and just take this new wonderful machine around. So yes, exciting times. I'll keep you up to date with anything exciting that I find. This week we had all of the entries come in for the Advent Calendar competition, so thank you for getting all your entries in. There's a few stragglers, and I might be good. I might let your straggling entries trickle in over the next few days. We're just building the Advent Calendar now, and that will start, of course, on the 1st of December. If you see your entry behind one of the doors, that means you're a winner, and you'll be hearing from me asking for your details, and I'll be sending you some prize, and then we will have our winner. The find of 2023 on the Detecting History book will be behind door 24, and you'll win a trophy and lots of other bits and pieces. You'll win a hat and a magnifying glass and finds box, and maybe even a gift voucher. So exciting things. As I say, I'm being lenient. If you haven't entered yet, then make sure you DM me on Instagram or Facebook with your favourite find, your own personal favourite find of 2023, and you could be a winner. We had exciting news. Did you catch the announcement? I couldn't wait, so I announced earlier than Friday that there will be a new mini-series to the podcast. So there will be an amazing new show going out every Friday, The Detectorists on The Detectorists. So myself and Carl, the Mental Detector, my co-host, along with Ellie, Miss Detectorist, Emma, Em Loves Old Stuff, and Ross, Detector Rost, will be reviewing episode by episode the famous and wonderful BBC show The Detectorists, week by week, all 20 episodes. So I hope you join us and watch along with us. The first episode will be coming out on Friday the 1st of December. So make sure you watch episode 1, available on BBC iPlayer before that date, and then you can listen to us talking about the show scene by scene, talking about the characters, talking about some of the props, how real to life it is to detecting, everything we notice now that we didn't notice when we watched the first time round. I wasn't a detectorist the first time I watched it, and I tell you what, it's so funny. I'm seeing so much more detail this time around, and I bet you do too. So join us for that one. Okay, this week our guest is the wonderful Kev Whitmore. So Kev runs Kev runs a group over on Facebook called XPORX International, and there's over 6,000 folks on there. All sharing their finds and their settings on the XPRX, which you know is my other machine. But Kev is just an all-round fantastic gentleman. He has been in the detecting business for many, many years, a few decades in fact. He's so lovely to talk to, so wonderful, friendly, approachable, knowledgeable, stories upon stories upon story. We could have been chatting for 3 hours, but unfortunately, we'll just keep it to part one. So this first hour, I really hope you enjoy it, and we will, of course, get Kev on again soon. He's a fantastic top chap. And Kev, thank you very much for being on. It was a pleasure. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to the Detecting History podcast. And this week, I'm super excited to have Kevin Whitmore on the show. Hello, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Very good, Kagan. How are you? And I'm pleased to be on. It's an honour for me to be on as well. I've been listening to that podcast now for a few months, I think it is now, isn't it? Yeah, every time I get in my car, rather than go straight to the radio, to the podcast on Spotify and see who the latest guest's been.
I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
We love to hear that, Kev. Thank you very much. I'm so excited to have you on, and we were just chatting before the show there. I'm really excited because you and your group on Facebook, so the XPORX International group, it was so helpful to me when I first started detecting, and I got my first proper detector, my XPORX, which I absolutely love. So just a massive thank you from me to you and to Nigel as well for setting up that group, because it's been so wonderful. And I think you've got 6.6 thousand members on there right now, so all probably doing the same thing as me, looking at each other's finds, seeing what settings they've been using, etc. So it's just an honour to have you on.
Honour for me to be on. No, thanks for that. And it's the group we started because, to cut a long story short, we'd moved to Greece. I'd had an illness. We moved to Greece and we come back, and I'd left the machines there. And the RX had literally, it was in the magazine. I picked up the latest search for treasure, and I can't remember, and there it was. And I ordered it straight away, and it come literally the next day. And I thought, right, better look, see if anybody else has got one.
Yeah.
There was nobody else. That was it. So, and it was my son said, "Dad, start a Facebook group." I'm like, I'm not doing that. But he set it up, and that was it.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. And we've grown it organically, and it has, like you say, it's helped quite a few people, I like to think. Very, very friendly. We keep it friendly. It's always been strict like that. And I'm glad you've got some information from it, because that's obviously what we want to do. But we see people come and go. They get other machines and come back, etc., etc. But it's all part and parcel of starting a Facebook group, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's found it extremely helpful. So, Kev, you mentioned there you're in Greece and you're away and you've come back. So which region of the UK are you in right now? Where are you based?
Sunny Suffolk.
Oh, lovely.
So we're in a nice, interesting part of the country. But without the sunshine today, unfortunately. I'm not far from Norfolk, so two of the best counties, or according to Flo saying what we're told, two of the two counties that I think record the most finds in the country, if I'm not mistaken. It might have changed, I don't know, but that's what I last was told and heard anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know.
No, I'm in full agreement when we see the likes of yourself, Norfolk Button Boy and Suffolk Searcher, and the things that folks find out from that way. And then, it's interesting, actually, part of that conversation about detecting the different areas and what's found. I mean, Em loves stuff. She said that in Kent, they find an awful lot of complete crotal bells there. It's known for that. And then, of course, yourself, I mean, over there, you just find absolutely abundance of most things, don't you? And then you've got sort of up north and the northwest. I mean, they might say they don't find a lot of much, but it just depends. You've got to walk over it, haven't you, to be able to find it. You never know what you're going to find.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly. That is the beauty of it. And it's you feel honoured and lucky when you do find something, don't you? And every hole is exciting. You never know. When you get a signal, you're like, oh, what could it be?
That's it. That's what keeps us interested, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in Suffolk there, and how long have you actually been a detectress now, would you say?
Goodness me. I think my first detector, 1978. So about 45 years ago.
Wow.
Yep, it was. I remember. I remember sitting at home, and there was a couple of lads, a little bit older than me, same school, and they used to walk past every Saturday and Sunday with these metal detectors. And I used to think, where are they going? What are they doing? And one day I went out there and just spoke to them. They were in the sixth form, that's it, at school, and I obviously was a lot younger. and you want to come out. One of them was a Scottish lad, and the other lad I've just recently met again after all these years, which is another story. But
Oh,
they said, if
amazing.
you want to come out, we'll take you out. And lo and behold, off I went, and like watching them dig all these lovely coins up. Sort of, what were they? 40s, 50s coins, because we had a grandstand near us, a racing grandstand, and it's a massive area where apparently people used to stand who couldn't afford to pay to get in, but they used to get drunk and drop the coins. Well, that was the story they told me anyway. And that was it. I was booked. And I remember coming home telling my dad, and my dad being my dad, he come back, I think it was a couple of weeks later, and he said, I've got a present for you. And that was my first metal detector.
Oh.
I don't know where he got it from. It wasn't a new one, but he got it. And that was it. I was hooked, and I went out with them, and they used to go to a club. And I remember going a couple of times and meeting these guys. And it was very, very old-fashioned. You know, it's not like today at all. And these guys were sitting there, very, very clever guys with half a bitter and a packet of peanuts and crisps. And I just learned so much, and I was just hooked then. I was just hooked.
Yeah. Wow. So a 45 years plus you'd been metal detecting for. So you're definitely our most experienced guest on so far, Kev. So there you go.
I don't know about that. I think because then obviously I've done it for years and years and years, and I've got married, and then we've had kids as well. So I've been in between as well, and it wasn't full time while the kids were growing up, but it's always been there. And I think time's just gone so quickly. I mean, that's how much I enjoy the hobby, I suppose. It's like been and gone in a flash. But and here we are still doing it. But it is an amazing hobby. But when I think back to when I started and how it is now, it's so different. It really is so different. But it's like all hobbies, isn't it, I suppose, and the changing.
It is.
Because a lot of those guys were classed as odd then, you know, when I remember my dad telling his friend one day, he said, your son goes metal detecting. He's like, yeah, he goes with these funny blokes. They go at the pub and they all sit in the corner, huddle up there with all these things that they've found and talk about him. But, you know, that was then different now. It's a massive
Definitely different now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, anything different, anything that people don't understand is often first labelled as odd, isn't it? And then people learn more, and then they get interested themselves. And the show The Detectorists really helped, didn't it, in a way to let people know actually what what people get up to and all the rest of it.
As soon as anybody I talk to now, my wife and my children, that they tell people that I detect. That's the first thing they mention is the detector, and I must admit, I got hooked, and I still watch it. Very, very often, if there's nothing on the telly, and that quite a lot, that I'm interested in, and I just flick through, and it's on again. And I've watched the same sort of episode time and time again. It's these different things, and there's so many funny little things in it that I've noticed, and I just can't help but roll to myself thinking about it sometimes, and I find myself relating to it. And there was a rally I went on recently up in Norfolk with a lot of older guys. A lot of my friends were a lot older. They're not even on Facebook, some of them. And this rally I went to, it was like a scene out of The Detectorists. We had a stall. The local WI made sausage rolls and cakes and things, and you give a donation. It was for like the local church, and it really was like a scene from The Detectorists. And I'm smiling about it and laughing now.
Fantastic. Well, Kev, I'll give you a bit of a free scoop. Myself and Carl, the mental detector, I had this idea the other day, and I was thinking, right, through the deep dark winter months, I was like, what I'd really like to do is watch The Detectorists again from beginning to end, and we're going to do a midweek episode where we're reviewing each episode. So hopefully that'll inspire everybody to sort of watch along with us. And as you say, when you watch it and you are a detectorist now, for me especially, I watched the show before I was into metal detecting, so now I'll watch back with fresh eyes, and like you're saying just there, when you turn up to events and how he managed to depict that in the show. So watch this space.
Excellent. Right, I'll keep an eye out for that, definitely. That's but I can't. I just laughed to myself. As soon as I think about it, I have to. It's sort of like it just makes me smile because it's so positive. The whole thing's so positive, isn't it? The theory.
Yeah,
it is great bit of TV.
Awesome. So that's how you got into detecting then. And what would you say metal detecting does for you then, Kev, in terms of all the different aspects of the hobby?
It's, I mean, obviously they got me interested, and there was a lot to be interested about as well then, because I remember they took me to this particular place where I think people used to stand apparently in bed and drop their money. But the other thing they used to talk about a hell of a lot was Queen Boudica. Some people call her Boadicea, don't they, Boudica? And, I'm like, who's that? And you got to remember, I was a young lad, I'm thinking, who the hell's that? And I remember going to the library at school, and I didn't go to the library. I wasn't one of them, and reading all about it. And I was like, oh my God. And they find things from up here, and they did. And they showed me some of the stuff, and that was it. And I took it to the club, and all the old guys were excited about it, and they're like all huddled around, and I've got to find something. I never did find anything from that particular place, but it just hooked me. And ever since, that's it. It's sort of been my go-to hobby, if you like. And I think because it's so accessible and so easy for a lot of us, you can, put it down and pick it back up. And like I said earlier, I'm obviously married. I've got grown children now, they're in their 30s. But when they were growing up, time to myself was quite precious because, you spend time with your family first. So, I can just pick the detector up and go out for a couple of hours, and that's what it's meant to be, something I can put down and pick up quite easily. And I love the countryside. My wife does as well. We love walking, and we've always been lucky enough to be in the countryside. So it's all like a bit of a win-win all round, if you know what I
mean. Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you say about the fact that, stuff happens in life, doesn't it? So you're not necessarily going to be able to do it 100% at your free time all of the time. No. But unlike other hobbies, like if you follow Formula One or football, if you sort of come away from it for a while, you lose the knowledge, don't you? You don't know who all the players are or who the managers are. But for us, we can pick it up and the stuff is still in the ground for waiting for us, isn't it?
That's it, and that's the beauty of the hobby. I mean, obviously metal detectors seem to change quite quickly these days, but that's another subject, isn't it? I've still got my original detector, and it still does what it used to do then. I had it serviced recently at Seascope. They went right through it, and it didn't need anything. I think they just sort of cleaned some of the circuit board up because it's proper old-fashioned, but it still works, and I could still go detecting with it. And in fact, Just Detect, one of the rallies, I'm sure you've heard of it, the Veterans Rally up in Lincolnshire, they had a day for using your old machines, and I took it out in the field. I didn't find anything of any particular sort of significant, but I picked up a few bits and bobs with it. So it just goes to show, they still work, and they haven't changed that really. I don't think.
Not really. That was my follow-up question. What have you noticed though, and what have been the big jumps that you've seen in terms of the technology? What would you say are the biggest changes from that first one you had?
Do you know what the biggest thing? And you mentioned it earlier. The XPRX is obviously wireless, and it is the lightest metal detector in the world, and that is the thing that you notice straight away how light these modern machines are. I think the RX is 750 grams or something like that. It's not very heavy at all. It's like waving a wand, so you can you can wave it around all day long. And obviously that is, for a lot of people, it makes it a lot easier for them to detect. As I said earlier, a lot of my friends are very old. One of the guys is 94.
Wow.
And he's got a Deus, which is the extender to the R. But like he said, there's no way he could use his old machine, and I think he had a Tessero, one of the Tesseros, I can't remember which one it was, but they're not heavy, but they are heavier than obviously these new modern machines. So hence, that's probably the biggest change I've noticed, and obviously digital with the screens. And I'm not fussed what I use, because I still use as well. I've got another Seascope 6MXI. I mean, that's been around now for quite a few years, but it's a digital machine without a display, and it does the same job as these modern machines. It does. I mean, I've got modern and old machines, so proof's in the pudding and then finds, isn't it?
Yeah, the weight is just such a winner for me. And as you say, because we can charge the ORX with the USB-C wire rather than back in the old days, the old machines used to have like a fair few, was it C batteries or D batteries in there? So that would add to the weight, wouldn't it?
9 volt and AA batteries, funnily enough. AA batteries in my Seascape. But pros and cons again, because recently, at a couple of the rallies I've been to, the guys have got these little boxes that charge things up. Would you call them power packs or something? You can tell them
That's
old,
it.
can't you?
Yeah, power banks.
They'd run out of power. But if you've got a spare packet of batteries in the car, you can just unwrap and put them in your machine. So, pros and cons for both. Same as pinpoint, it's the same. I've got a pinpointer that takes a 9 volt battery and a pinpoint you can charge up with USB. So both bases covered.
There you go. Ready
Like a
for
Boy
all
Scout.
scenarios.
Prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. So let's talk about your detecting gear then. You've given us a rundown of the machines you're using currently. Are there any other machines you're using at the moment, or shall we just move on to what you're using in terms of spades and trowels and stuff?
I've got the original Seascape, I've got the 6MXI, and I've just got another Seascape that I'd been looking out for. It was quite a breakthrough 20 odd years ago, called an R1, and it's got digital display. And I was just happened to be chatting to, and he said, "Oh, I've got one of them." He said, "I used it a couple of times," and then he said, "Family come along, and it was in the loft ever since." He said, and I got it out, and a mouse had chewed through the coil wire, so he'd sent it off to the Seascape, and the lovely fellas down there had replaced the coil and the wires and everything, and give it a sort of bill of good health. And he said, "Look, you can buy it if you want." So he sent it to me and said, "Look, don't pay me till you got it. I want you to see it. I'm going to send it to you. When you're happy with it, send me the money." And I got that, so I'll play with that. I've got my DAS 1, I've got the RX, as you know, and I've got a DAS 2, and I've got a Garrett Apex. What else have I got? That's about it now. I thinned out a little bit.
Wow, it's a good collection though.
Yeah, it's nice to, it's nice to have the collection, but if you've been using them, because I always say to people, and going off on a tangent here a bit, but when you get a machine, I think if you use it and learn it, then that gives you the edge when you're searching in a field. So for me, I suppose, because I've used them all so long, I sort of know them all inside out. I love using them all. And I literally do, Kate. There's no fixed machine that I'll use all the time now. So I'll just pick up one of them. If it's raining the day, it's too, because it's fully waterproof. Yeah. Especially last weekend. Was it last week or the weekend before? It was absolutely tipping down, muddy and everything. And the machine got covered. I got covered, but I didn't have to worry. And I'm a bit precious about the older machines now. So when it rains like that and gets muddy like that, you have to be a bit careful, because I don't want to break anything.
No, exactly. Be gutted, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Especially my old original one. But yeah. That machine-wise, that's me. A bit of a choice.
Yeah.
But
how do you find the Garrett Apex? Because when I was going to make my jump to a grown-up machine, just before I got my ORX, I was actually on the waiting list for the Garrett Apex, but it had some kind of delay. I think it was shipment stuck somewhere or something, and then that was the deciding feature, because I couldn't wait to spend my money, so I plumped with the XPRX, and I'm glad I did. Right. But how do you find the Garrett Apex? Because I've heard good things about that too, and I think Digger Dawn uses that some of the time. She's just used that on a trip to Alderney, and she was singing its praises.
I think it's a very capable machine. I mean, what people have to remember about some of these machines, especially, Garrett, been around for a long time, got good heritage, know what they're doing. And that machine is obviously American-born, and the Americans don't get the history we get. So when they're searching, they like to find a lot of, maybe they don't, maybe they do, iron things. So the one thing I always say that stands out for me with the Apex, the iron discrimination is fantastic. And I know a couple of people disagreed with me recently about that, but if you try it, you'll see, and it's very, very good at discriminating iron. But it's not heavy, It does what it says it's going to do. I found hammered coins with it. I found all sorts with it. So, they're all much for much, these machines. And I would, anybody starting out, I'd have no hesitation. In fact, I've before people have asked, good start machine. And I've said the Apex because it is a very simple, good quality machine to get going with. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. That answers your question. So,
It certainly does. Yeah, brilliant.
the obvious thing is as well that obviously you got the RX, so we got you in our group. If you'd have got an Apex, you wouldn't have been in our group. But
Well, exactly. It's brought us here today, isn't it? Things work out for a reason.
I'm doing.
I like that. So what do you use then in terms of your spade at the minute then, Kev? What do you find works best for you?
Right. So I've got a bit of a spade fetish, Katie. People do take the mickey out of me. I can't help it. I must have about 20 different spades.
Oh, lovely.
One I use, honestly, you couldn't make it. I think because it's my hobby and we're always looking for that extra sort of special thing that might help us do things a little bit easier. And I've got old fashioned and I've got modern. I suppose if I was to slim it all down, I've got a Gladius, stainless steel Gladius, which is bomb-proof. I mean, that's going to outlast me, no doubt, but it's heavy.
Yes.
There's a spade called a McGrafter that a guy up north makes in his shed, basically. And it was designed to, I think he basically developed it to help people with bad backs or people who could, who had some sort of disability, because you can extend it, but it's carbon fibre. He makes the blade, and the blade I've got on mine is almost trowel-like, but with the foot peg, so I can dig down quite deep. So I use that a lot as well. My friends in Holland who've got a shop, they've done a carbon fibre one very similar. I bought one of them a little while ago. I've got a Bergen ball. I've got Beers and Jackson. I've got them coming out of my ears, but I suppose the McGrafter I use probably more than any of the others. The Gladius is brilliant in the winter when the ground's hard, because you can really give that some stick, and there's no way that thing breaking, and that will outlast me without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
So that's my digging gear. And there's a lot in between that you've probably seen. There's one that I'm just trying to think the name of it now. The guy in Gravesend, he's not far from me actually. He's over in Norfolk, and he done one for our group, the RX group, with the Viking on. Absolutely amazing job.
Yeah.
The name will come to me in a minute. But that's my thing.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of the name either, but they're beautiful. And when you see people unwrapping them as well, it's just like, wow. Optimus spades. That's the one. Optimus spades.
Yeah, and to whack that in the ground now with this beautiful. I mean, he has done. It's a lot of full Viking on there with all the gear and his axe and everything, and I just can't bring myself to whack that in the ground, really. But I might do one day, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd be tempted to put one of those up on the wall just to stare at it and its beauty.
Yeah, it is crap.
You've got a lot of gear then, Kev. So how do you cope with that at home? Have you got a nice office or something where you've got all your bits and pieces and you can look at them all? Are they all on display?
This is my detecting room that I'm talking to you from today. I've got cupboards in here with stuff in, and I do have to sort of like have a look now and again just to remember where I've put things, because I've got a memory like a sieve.
What club groups are you members of? Do you want to do any shout outs for any of the groups you're members of, Kev, or do you just sort of work on your own permissions?
I'm lucky enough to live on a farm when we come back from Greece, and got a little cottage on the farm here. They've got a few thousand acres, so I'm lucky that I can literally walk out the door whatever direction I go in. We've got places I can detect, and as I say, I've got a lot of old friends who invite me here, there and everywhere. I get to Norfolk quite a lot. There's a new group, Fenland Diggers. I've been on a few of their digs recently, out in Norfolk. Lovely bunch of lads.
Yeah.
And raise a lot of money for a local children's charity, which is always good as well. And I've made some new friends there, so I like to go out.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they really do a good job. You probably know, a lot of people, for a lot of people, they haven't got their own permission, so these digs are the only way they can get out. And these guys it's about £20. I don't think I've been on a dig that's any dearer than that with them. And the money goes to charity. And the farmer, I know the farmer was there last week. He was coming chatting to us, see what we'd found, and I think he put some more money in the tin for the donation to the children's charity as well, which was nice, to see it with your own eyes.
Oh, so nice.
Fenman Diggers, they're a great bunch. Heart of England, I've been on a few of them. Peter Pesty, he's started off with an RX. He's on a Deus 2 now, but they have a lot of digs in Cambridge way, so I go over there too. I'm off to Lincolnshire soon. I was invited down to Cornwall a while ago. I'm lucky. I get invited here, there, and everywhere. And obviously we have the big rallies in the summer. I got a few of them this year. Just Detect again, which is the Veterans Rally. That's really good. Made some good friends there as well. The Rodney Cook Rally, I went there to help XP. I helped them on their stand this year. I've done that over a few years, and that's quite nice. And as the RX man, as they call me, because I've got an RX and under that group. So yeah, that's quite handy. But so group-wise, there's a lot of groups I go to and I get a lot of invites. I'm very, very lucky. And as I say, I've got my own permission.
No, that's good. It's nice, as we were saying earlier on, it's nice to be able to go over different areas of the country, isn't it? And spoke about it on previous episodes. You've got the different land types and then
it is.
Different finds.
It is, and you have to change your settings on your detector then.
Yeah. You get the fun of doing that too. Right. Let's move on to them. In your wide-ranging years and decades, what are your best or most favourite finds that you've had over the years, Kev?
Oh my goodness.
Tough question, huh?
It is a tough question to take, because I have been lucky, and I do feel quite lucky that I've found quite a wide and varied amount of different finds. But do you know what? A couple of years ago, I was on some of my own land, and I got quite a nice little signal, but there was a bit of a grunt to it with the RX, funnily enough. And I thought, God, that's a weird one. And I started digging down, and lo and behold, there was a big old rusty nail. Sort of thing you'd see in an old timber frame building. It was quite a big nail. And I waved the coil again. I had the white HF coil. I don't know if that's what you use on your RX. And there was a bang signal behind it. And I started digging down. I thought, oh, here we go. This is the modern iron. As you know, a lot of machines get confused with one, and they give this nice clangy sound. Well, I got down. I was down deep below the plough line, and I was taken back. There was a Bronze Age axe head starting to appear. And it was just like, it was amazing. It was one of them, and I just sat there. I remember, I can recollect it now. I was on my knees and I was looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a Bronze Age axe head. This is a Bronze. And then I put my coil, pinpointed down, and it started sounding off around the Bronze Age this axe head as well. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a hoard. Anyway, I run the flow, and she said, well, no, you do it. And I took it out and took pictures like they asked me to. And I sat there. I bet it felt like a lifetime, but it wasn't. It was probably about 10 or 20 minutes. And then I started out with my little trowel. What a little trowel, little child's trowel that I use for digging stuff out. And it popped out, and I got it in my hand, and I took some pictures, and I got excited to run my wife, and I ran a couple of friends, videoed it, FaceTimed it, quite excited. Put my pinpointer down there, and it was going off, and there was sword tips, dagger tips, spear bits, lots of broken bits as well. And it took me quite a while to get it all out, but just the hairs on my neck, and just, I don't know why, it was just a different find for me. I've never felt like that before with all the finds I've had all over the years.
Yeah.
And put it all in a bag. I showed it to the farmer, and he was like, yeah, bits of bronze, let's put that hike. Yeah, lovely. Okay. See ya. Let me know how you get on. I thought, yeah, okay. And I took it to the flow, and she said, "Oh my goodness me, this is nice." And there's quite a few bits, and off it went to
Yeah.
the British Museum, and they called it a founder's hoard. So basically,
Okay.
yeah, but the axe head was complete. Everything else was broken. And there were some ingots as well. I mean, they were huge, very, very heavy, where they'd melted down. But basically, it was the guy's wealth, and he buried it. And unfortunately, sold
Right.
it out to him because he didn't dig it back up again. But yeah, they said it
Mm.
was hoard, and I got it back, which was really, really nice. So it's sort of like
Wow,
one of my,
lovely.
it is, yeah, one of my prized possessions, I suppose. When I hold the axe head now, I still get a little shiver. It's really weird. I don't know. I don't know why. You know,
Yeah.
got some old and weird and wonderful things, I tell you, over the years, but that axe head just, yeah, weird, bizarre. And it's the first thing I show people when, you know, can I have a look at somebody you found? I go, yeah, look at me. And they're like, oh, axe head.
Yeah.
And they always think of it as a weapon, but of course, you probably know that it was used, farmers used them to dig out the earth to put the seeds in and stuff.
Yeah. All manner
Really
of things.
confuses people when you tell them that. This thing's
Yeah.
immaculate, like it's brand fine new, like it was made yesterday. And of
Yeah.
course, you know, potentially 2,500 years old. So yeah, that's probably my favourite, I think, and most memorable. I mean, I've got all sorts of manner of things I've had. Viking things are my favourite, but they're few and far between. But yeah, my little Bronze Age founder sword, I think, is my favourite.
Founder's Hoard. And that's interesting what you say there, because yeah, of course, any broken, when you were saying about the broken bits, I was wondering, but yeah, of course, he would have just melted them back down again, wouldn't they, to turn into something else. And obviously with the ingot as well, had already probably done that before. Yeah.
And that's it. And that, you know, they didn't have money like, you know, years that, like the years, like the other stuff we get with hammers and stuff. That was his wealth. So poor bloke buried it to stop somebody taking it, I suppose. And unfortunately, something must have happened to him because obviously he didn't dig it back up. So maybe maybe I'll let his spirit out. I don't know. Maybe that's why the hairs on the neck keep.
I got goosebumps when you started telling us that story there, Kev. That's amazing.
Well, honestly, I can't emphasise enough how weird it was when I first saw. I mean, I've uncovered, like you and like, you know, lots of people in the hobby, when you uncover something and you pull it out. But I just sat there and looked at it for ages. I don't know. It's just one of them weird things. There you go, unexplained.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was that your first axe head?
No, that's it. I've had them before. I've got about 5 or 6 now. But that one with them bit, just like, it's just stuck with me. Like I say, even talking about it, the hairs on the neck stick up. There's obviously some connection there or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird. I really don't understand it. And even my wife said, she said, "Oh, you always get excited about it when you talk about it." And I do, you know, I can tell I am now. I like to shut up, because otherwise I'll talk about it for the next 3 hours. And
we wouldn't mind, Kev.
But yeah, no, that's my most memorable, I think, now, to date anyway.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. Yes. I think anybody would, like yourself, be waiting for a few minutes and taking it all in. And like you said, that feeling you had at the time. That's why you've got such a vivid memory of it and love retelling it, because of that feeling.
Yeah. You are 100% right. And, you know, it's just like one of them weird moments I had while I was looking at it down there, because it was the way I think it was in the mud as well. It's a shame I can't show the pictures and share the pictures with the listeners, because to see it laid at an angle, and I'm looking at it, it's laid at an angle, it's just like it's been laid to rest. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm looking at it. I've just uncovered it, and I can, you know, when you start uncovering something, you think, oh, what's that? A bit of bronze, and then you can see the axe head, and that's it. And here I am rabbiting on about it. So, right, I'll stop now.
Yeah. No, please don't stop. That's fantastic. Okay, so that's your sort of favourite find. Have you had any gold in the past, Kev? Have you done the gold dance? That's what we all want to know.
Yeah, I've been lucky. So I've got a couple of posy rings that I found years ago.
Nice.
Gold hammered coins, watch winder, sovereign, couple of sovereigns I think I've got there. Some little bits of gold, I'm not sure what they are. The flows weren't sure what they were either. So yeah, I've got some gold, but they just, I suppose, they were a long time ago, actually. So I'm just trying to think one of the posy rings had an odd message in it as well. I'm just trying to remember, because they're actually in Greece, because we lived on a Greek island for a long time. We got a home there. And a lot of my stuff I took with me. So I can't grab it and look, but it translated to something very, very odd. And I'll remember in a minute. I'll remember it. But that's quite memorable as well for gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've had a few little bits of gold. I've been very lucky.
Yeah. And the gold dance has taken place, which is always good to hear.
Yeah, I did do that. Somebody made me do it the last time, so they said, "Look, I think it was Sovereign. That was about 10 years ago, and they made me do a dance. I did do it. Unfortunately, there's no video of it.
Oh, shucks. Maybe I'll be there next time you find some gold at one of these rallies and I can witness it in person.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully there's some more there somewhere.
Oh, yes. It's like we say, it's not always about the gold, is it? It's just about the wonder of what we find. What have you found then, Kev, in terms of anything weird, wonderful, unexpected?
Let's think. I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that spring to mind. One of them is weird. How about this? So that must be now about 20 years ago. I was digging in the field with some friends, and it was a hammered coin, and in the same hole was a record, a 7-inch record. Anarchy in the UK, the Sex Pistols, on a little plastic bag. I mean, what the hell was that doing in the middle of the field? How bizarre is that?
Bizarre.
Bizarre in the word, I'm still flummoxed by it today. The lads were like looking at me like I was gone out. I couldn't help digging it up. They were like, "What's he got that in? What you got that in your hand for?" I said, "Well, that was in the hole." "You're joking?" I said, "No, look," and that was the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK, with a picture cover. I think I have got it somewhere actually, but that was with this coin. And it was sort of like the edge of it was hanging in the hole, if that makes sense, in the plastic. So I started to try and pull it off because it was well bedded in, but I dug round carefully, and there was this 7-inch record in this plot. It was weird, absolutely weird. And there's another one, was a American car badge, Chevy Bel Air. Again, in the middle of the field. I mean, what's that doing? Christine, I don't know if you've ever seen the film. It's a horror film called Christine, and this badge. And I always think of the horror film, I think of the badge, and because I thought it'd bring me bad luck, but no. So, yeah, the record and this badge, this American car badge, there was no other bits of the car, just this badge in the middle of a field, and I'm in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. How did it get there? How did these things get there?
Crazy.
Very odd, but it's all good fun, because then you can tell the story, can't you?
Exactly. That's what we love about it. That Anarchy in the UK single, I think that might be worth a bit of money as well, actually. I think they're quite rare. Maybe it was someone's own little treasure back then. Yeah. Why would they bury it in a field? Somebody obviously, I just don't know. Weird. Well, I'll never know, will I? But you're right there. Actually, I'll have to have a look on eBay and see if there's any of them on there. I think you should. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Wow, that is a good weird find. I like that one a lot. Right, so moving on to history then, Kev. Let's talk about your favourite history era before we talk about what might be your favourite monarch or emperor. Anything that you particularly enjoy?
I suppose recent years, and this is probably because of television, is the Vikings. I love the era, and I love the programmes. Vikings, Valhalla, and Uhtred, the Babamur. That really ignited, because I've got a terrible memory. So watching the programmes makes it easier than reading the book, if that makes sense, because you can relate. The Uhtred one, you can relate that to history. So I suppose I took a lot of that on board. And the Vikings do fascinate me. And I've been lucky enough to find a few Viking things. Not enough, because I'd love to find a hell of a lot more. Because, I think they just fascinate me, the Vikings. They're a quite a race of people. And I don't know if you know, but in the RX group, again, because it's international, I've made a lot of friends around the world, and funnily enough, I've made some very, very, very good friends in Denmark, and of course, where the Vikings are from.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and they are lovely, lovely guys. So when I found stuff, or when people find stuff here, and we think it's got Viking connections or it's Viking, I can go to them, send them pictures, and his friends are part of a museum in Denmark. So we get a lot of information then, and it's quite surprising, what I've learned. I mean, every day's a school day still, even though I've been detected at the time. For an example, not so long ago, there was a young lady from Denmark in the group. She's got an RX as well, who was doing some sort of thesis or study about loom weights. And she showed us some Viking ones with like inscriptions on and runes and stuff. And then we noticed that some of the stuff, or some we found here, were very similar. So then it turns out, you think, well, they're Viking. Well, no, they're not. The English ones here were copies, and they've copied the patterns from the Viking ones. So how amazing is that? So
wow.
the Viking thing, yeah, it's I love it. I just love all the Viking things. I really do. And as I say, I just love to find some more. But that was quite an interesting little thing to be involved in, showing them. And they're like, oh my goodness, that's the same patterns as like we have here. When they Viking, no, because of this, because of that. But they've copied the pattern. So yeah. There you go, Viking era.
I love that. And a lot of people have said similar. Yeah. I'm the same as you. Things go in my head and stay in my head better when I watch it on the TV or even listen to it. Audiobooks going better than me actually reading.
And just to add to that, this is how bizarre is this as well. So my wife works in the local town a few days a week, and I always take her in the mornings and I take our dogs with us, and I walk them and have a coffee because it's not on the farm. It gets a bit muddy this time of year, and the little one tends to pick everything up. So anyway, so off I go walking around, and we got these lovely gardens, the Abbey Gardens in Bury St Edmunds. Amazing place to wander around. And just when we'd first moved here, and I was walking around there, and I thought, and it said King Canute on this little sign. I thought, King Canute, what's he doing here? I started, and I didn't realise that because obviously he was the Viking Christian king, wasn't he? That Edmund, who was killed by the Vikings and was decapitated, his head went in the swamp and the wolves protected it and all this. I've read it all there. It's all on this sign in the garden. But Canute built a little church to bury him.
Oh.
So again, Viking thing. So I'm like, King Canute. Yeah. And of course, King Canute in the Viking series with old, Uhtred.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like all the dots start joining up, and that's it. And then you're like, I'm really fascinated now.
Yeah.
I never have been before. So yeah, it's just an amazing era, I think. And I've been invited over to Denmark to go detecting with these guys, and they detect in Viking fields. One of them has built a longhouse, and he lives in it, a Viking longhouse.
Oh, amazing.
And Tommy Jorgensen, if you look on the group, Tommy's a lovely fella, and a font of information, and his buddies are. But I'm looking forward to that next year, so I'm going to go out there with them and do some detecting in the Viking fields.
How lovely. That's awesome. Yep. Can't wait to hear about that on next season when I'll be dragging you back on to hear all about that, Kev. What Viking bits have you found yourself then?
Right. Stirrup mounts. I've got two. One with the wolf facing, they call it the beast facing one way, and another one with it facing the other way, which is lovely to have.
Yeah.
A couple of Viking brooches. They're pretty nice. Got a little bit of coinage and some little bits and bobs. I've got some weights which they've said are Viking as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. But that's what I mean. It's few and far between. So it's sort of like, that's what I want to find. But I need to find more Viking.
Yeah. That all sounds awesome, though.
It is. And, there's a place near here called West Stowe, which apparently, I've read about it, is where the Vikings come up the river from the coast, and because it's part of the forest, they set up camp there.
Oh.
So hence how I found Viking stuff, I guess, nearby. They obviously spread out and got about a little bit like everybody does. So I'm sure there's more out there. I've just got to find it.
Will.
I just got to find it.
You will, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. So does that link in your favourite monarch or emperor then? Does that fit in with somebody from Viking times, or would it be someone else?
It does. It does, actually. I mean, King Canute, I'm fascinated with him now, and Ethelstan.
Yes.
Obviously, the Saxon king. So, Ethelstan and probably King Canute would be my two favourite monarchs, I suppose. I did used to like Henry VIII, but they precede him now. Yeah, they do. I think that was the Henry VIII thing, was because I found a silver spoon once that apparently was, I don't know how they work it all out, but I think the SA marks and the date stamps and everything, they said it was something to do with Henry VIII's court. But then a couple of coins I found with the very, very, very young Henry VIII. I don't know if you've ever seen a grown. It looks nothing like Henry VIII.
Because it's a young one.
Yeah, and funny hair. And that always fascinated me, as I say, until the Viking thing come along. And it's now all Viking. I'm now all Viking. Maybe it's somewhere in my DNA. It could be a Viking. In fact, my wife said she's going to buy me for Christmas one of those ancestry DNA test things.
Yes. I see it's catching on now. I've done it myself. And I had, and I've got my...
Yeah, I think you started it. You started it.
I've got, that started my tattoo sleeve, so I've got a Valkyrie on there and all the runes and everything, so Boudica and pirates. So
you started it. You started
I started the trend. It's really good, everybody, and it's better because if you're a wimp like me and you don't like blood, don't worry. It's all about just spitting into a tube. Not the most pleasant thing, but really easy to do.
Right, I'll remember that. Hopefully that's the same.
Yes, it will be, and that'll be really interesting when you get your results.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get it before Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah. Comes back quick as well. It's really good.
I hate to my wife, because in the Christmas rush it might take a long time.
Exactly. Yeah. So why wait? Maybe there's that famous sale starts tomorrow, doesn't it? So maybe you should hint enough tonight, and she might get a deal tomorrow.
When I pick her up tonight, I'm going to hint to her.
Yay!
So Kate says,
Kate from the podcast.
When she gets in the car, the podcast on, you see, so she knows who Kate is as well.
What's your wife's name?
Joanne.
All right. Hello, Joanne. I'm glad you like the podcast.
2 months.
Brilliant. Okay, so that all links in nicely then. So you say that you live on a farm then, Kev, so that's really good, obviously. But how would you, what advice would you give to detectorists in terms of getting permissions? Have you got any top tips for the detectorists out there?
Face to face.
Yeah.
Always face to face. And if your wife doesn't mind helping you, a pretty face and a smile goes a long way. If I can tell you that, because they do, and it does work without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I've been to farms. I still go. We've been driving. I think, oh, look at that land there. Wonder somebody detects there, and I'll just drive up the driveway.
Yeah.
And, Joanne's sitting in the car or whatever, and we got chatting to a farmer, and I think it just makes you sort of like, I don't know, appear more family. I don't know, but it works. It works,
doesn't it? People get to look you in the eye. They get an impression of you, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, sending letters is good, and sometimes that's the only option. You've got to do it, but I think and perhaps not on a Sunday, the day, because farmers, they work a lot of hours, don't they?
They do.
You just got to go and knock on the door and be polite and nice, and if it's no this time, say, do you mind if I come back next time or whatever? That's my only advice. Face to face. Go and ask them face to face.
Yeah, good stuff. Have you ever had any issues when you've been out and about detecting, Kevin? Have you ever had arguments with any cows or anything weird and wonderful happen?
Oh my goodness, yeah. There's a pasture not far from where I am, and for quite a long time there was nothing in it. Then the sheep would come and the sheep would go, and the grass goes up and down. There's some lovely old oak trees, and there's so much history in there that I can't help but keep going in there. You know, I've found all sorts of different areas. And anyway, one day, it was I think it was last year. I said to my wife, I'm just going to pop out for a couple of hours. And off I went, and I was digging. And, you know, I'm on my knees looking in this hole, and I could feel somebody or something watching me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and I turned round, and there was this ram.
Oh.
Yeah, and he didn't look too happy. He didn't want me to pet. He didn't, and not much frightens me really, but I thought, bloody hell, he's gonna, you know, he's not happy at all. He's coming this way, and I stood up, and he sort of walked forward, and then all the sheep were behind him, like in a V formation. I'm thinking, what the hell?
Oh no!
Yeah, what's going on here?
His boys' mates.
Yeah, so I just very calmly picked it up, and just sort of like whistled off really, and I did, and they sort of disbanded, thankfully. Nothing went harmed. Another place we go, I've got a permission on a stud farm, horse stud farm.
Yeah.
So we've got these lovely areas we can detect there, and the guy's like, whichever one then got the horses in, because they rotate everything, obviously, you'll be fine. And I went in this field with a mate of mine. We went in there, and like, there's nothing in here. Next thing, you could hear this horse running, and I thought it was filled. No, I don't know where it was hiding, but we never saw it.
Yeah.
And it's rearing towards us, and it's rearing up and doing, you know, and like they're scary things, horses, when they do.
Yeah.
So we sort of got out of there quickly as well. But that's the worst thing I think that's ever happened. But and I'll tell you one thing that happened a couple of years ago, and this is a one-time thing that happened that is amazing, and I kick myself now, but I was detecting not far from here again in a stubble field, and I was going along because I go very slowly, but I'm very methodical when detecting. And I stopped to look at, I think I was looking at some of the birds. There was some big old birds landing. And I looked down, and there was this little mouse. I don't know what dormouse, do they call them? I don't know. But it sat on my boot.
Oh.
So I put my right hand in my pocket to get my phone.
Yeah.
Got to get a picture of this. And it was looking at me, it was looking up. And I you know, it was bizarre. But the movement of me getting my phone, and that was just enough to frighten it off. But it was one of them moments, you know, like with a mouse. What's he doing here? I'm like, oh, there's a mouse. Do you know what I mean? We're like, whoa. We probably think, what are you doing in my field? You know, but that was a lovely moment. That was something that I'll never forget. And I told my granddaughter, my eldest granddaughter, 6. So she's taking lots of things in, and she loved metal detecting as well. She's
brilliant.
But I was telling her about the mouse, so she wants to go out.
Yeah.
See if a little mouse will go on her foot as well.
Oh, lovely.
Not to find anything. She just wants to see if a little mice will come and crawl up her.
Yeah. That's a once in a lifetime thing, if that, isn't it?
It was, yeah. So the good, the bad, and the ugly there.
Yeah, I like it. You covered all the bases. That's lovely. Do you have any other hobbies apart from metal detecting at all, Kev?
Cooking. I love cooking. And I love music, and I put them together.
Oh, nice.
My wife loves it. I mean, when the kids were growing up and I was full-time working, obviously, bless her, she used to cook, and all of a sudden I just took an interest in cooking. I think it was Jamie Oliver. I think because in a previous life I used to do project management, and I remember we'd done some work, and then we'd done some work for him, and I used to watch what was going on, and you know, I asked him a few things, and he let me do this, that, and the other. And it's sort of like, that's how I got started. So I love cooking, and I put the music on. Yeah. So I love all different genres of music, everything from opera to hip hop, whatever. I love music. So I do my cooking and my music. I'm not a fancy cook. You know, I don't do fancy things. It's like basic ingredient, but fresh. Yeah. And even now, I've got a grill outside with a light, so I can still grill meat. Because I think if you grill meat, and this is the Viking in me, you need a flame to cook the meat. Yes. So, but with my music going as well. So cooking and music, I've tried my hobbies.
Brilliant. I love that. The dancing chef will have to start calling you.
Yeah, I've known to do a little bit of a jig.
Oh, lovely. I love that. Yeah, Jamie Oliver, he sort of, when he became popular, he really made cooking popular again, didn't he? Because it seemed like it was for everybody, if you know what I mean.
He did. Clever guy and a lovely fellow as well. Very, very grounded. He used to live near us, and he very often you'd see him in the town. He'd always stop and speak, and he's a very approachable guy. He's done a lot, hasn't he? Really, I mean,
Yeah, he's done well.
School dinners and things. I remember, but it was just I think it's his style, because he is he uses fresh ingredients, basic, none of the fancy stuff. He's not one of the fancy cook chefs because, again, my memory's terrible and I get bored if I've got to follow things. By the book, 2 ounces of this, 3 ounces of that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can chuck a bit of salt and a bit of pepper and a bit of soy sauce and mix it up and chuck it up. I can do that. I can cope. It works. I'm not going to try and fix it now.
No.
My wife, but she must think I'm half decent.
Joanne loves it, so it must be good. Lovely. Right, we're going to move on to the bucket lister section, Kevin. So you've obviously found a lot of great stuff, but what have you still got on your bucket list that you want to find one day?
I suppose, right, think detectorists. And do you remember when he found the apple, the Alfred Jewel? He found it, the thing off of the staff.
Yeah.
You remember? And you get the flashback where the guys come out of the little church.
That's right.
And wrapped it up and buried it because the baddies are coming to rob everything.
Yeah.
I would love to find something like that because I think if you think back again in history, all this things that used to go on with churches and the robbing, etc., there must be a lot of stuff that the monks buried.
There must be.
Yeah, so a gold something from a church that maybe I can find and take back to the church if the church is still there.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I'd love to be able to find something like that. So something, like the Astle, the Alfred Jewel. The Alfred Jewel's the real thing, which is in the museum. I can't remember where it is now, but that's Anglo-Saxon, isn't it? But they portrayed that in the detectorists as the Astle that he found. So, yeah, I think something maybe that was buried to save being stolen from a church or even pilfered by the Viking. There you go.
Of course, yeah. Back to the Vikings again.
They got their axes out, didn't they? Chopped a few people down. They hopefully buried the stuff. So there must be loads of stuff out there buried from monasteries, churches and cathedrals.
Yes, there must be loads of it.
That's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list to find. A big gold cross maybe with some jewels in.
Oh, can you imagine digging that one up? I like that. So that's an excellent one on your own personal bucket list. But now we're coming to the ultimate bucket lister list section, Kevin. Right. So as you know, each week our guests place an item on the ultimate bucket lister list so that we can all have a list together that we're all aiming to try and find one or two of the items on. So what item, and it can be wild and wacky, or it can be something rather obtainable, would you like to place on the ultimate bucket lister list?
How about a Viking axe head?
Yes, a Viking axe head. Wonderful.
For a few reasons. One, because a lot of people ignore the iron signals.
True.
And, I've had one or two nice iron bits, and I think we need to dig more iron. I mean, you imagine the swords and the axe heads. Somebody I know last year found a Viking axe head. Well, it turned out to be a Viking axe head, so I'm going to put that on the ultimate bucket list.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, there you go, Viking axe head.
You're right, we do all try to ignore the iron signals, don't we? Yes,
we do, and there must be some magnificent things, we ignore. I do dig iron sometimes because you just never know. I've never found a sword, so I'd love to find a sword. And if I don't dig an iron, I'm not going to find one, am I?
No. Right, so that's an excellent item. We have placed it on the ultimate bucket lister list, a Viking axe head, and I'll enjoy talking a bit more about a Viking axe head that has been found. I'll do some research and include that in one of the midweek extra episodes as well. Brilliant, Kevs. Thank you. So is there anything else you would like to talk about, or would you like to do any shout outs on the podcast this week at all, Kev?
Can I shout out some companies?
Yes, do it. I love it.
Right. Regton in Birmingham. I've been sort of like affiliated to them for a long time. Lovely fellas, lovely family. They're a detecting family. Great guys. I've worked with them at a few of the rallies. They help out in our X group, as you know, and they're always there to answer questions. And if we do giveaways, they're involved in that as well. A big shout out to Steve Scope down in Kent. They've been going years and years and years and years. And I'm a Steve Scope fan because obviously I've got the machines. They're involved in a lot of other things that people probably don't even know about. They produce machines that locate cabling and water pipes underground for British Telecom and all sorts. So, they know what they're talking about. They have a fantastic service department. So if you've got an old D-scope machine that you want to breathe new life into, send it to them. And I tell you what, they are lovely people as well. I've been to the factory a few times and I've never come across, apart from like the Regton guys, a lovelier bunch of people who are so interested in what you've got to say about the hobby and the machines. They really...
Yeah.
So I think as far as shout-outs go, they're the two that I'd give a shout out to anyway.
Lovely stuff. So that's Regtons, of course. We all know Regtons and Seascope themselves. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Thank you, Kevin. And are there any detectorists you would like to hear on the podcast one day? Anyone you'd like to recommend I try and get on?
Do you know what? Marcus at Regton, he's one of the brothers. His name's actually Marcus Ingram. There's a lot of people know him as Marcus Ingram. A lot of people know him as Marcus Regton. Now, he started detecting years ago because his dad was a detectorist and him and his brother Nigel. So Marcus would be a great one to get on the show. And if he won't tell me, and I'll bend his ear to tell him he's got to come on.
I would love that. Oh, yes, please. Do it. We want him on. Yes, I would love to get him on. So, bend his ear for me. I'll reach out as well and we'll try and get him on.
I will.
Lovely stuff. Well, Kev, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so lovely hearing more about you and your story and your history in detecting. And I very much hope we can get you on season 2. So in a year's time or so to see what else you've been up to and how you got on with your ancestry and when you went over to Denmark as well. What occurred?
I've got a lot more to say, but you have to sort of curtail me because I can talk for England. But, there's lots of things that people perhaps don't know that I do. One other thing I will say, I always is
go for it.
I think this hobby is great for anybody who suffers any sort of mental health issues as well. I've heard it come up on your podcast a few times because one thing I do is I take out servicemen, they're mostly American servicemen that suffer with a bit of PTSD, etc., and one or two people with mental health issues as well. And I've found firsthand how brilliant this hobby can be for people when you're out in the fresh air, just detecting one-on-one or just a little group of us all together all with similar issues. Watch out for each other, and because you just don't know people that are suffering. A lot of people find it hard to talk. So as a community, I know there's a lot of people in this hobby that look out for people, and there really is. And I talk to people a lot, and people sort of know me now for suggesting people message me or whatever, or meeting up, etc., to talk about it. But I think it's a very important thing for everybody to take on board. And remember, there's a lot of people suffering in silence that don't need to, because as a community we can all help. And as I say, repeating myself, but I know there's a lot of people in the hobby that do help people. So keep up the good work, all the people who do it, and look out for those people that might just need a little bit of help. Find it hard to ask. So
yeah, absolutely. That's why it's good to keep close to our people, isn't it? And when you notice that something might be a bit amiss, just reach out.
There's a little sad thing that, like with my group, like as we said earlier, there's 6,700 people in there now, and when you see somebody posting a lot and then all of a sudden they don't post, and you think, I can't help it. But, I'm obviously on there every day nearly because it's my group and a couple of the other groups I've got as well, Seascope group. And you see people and then they stop posting, and I get worried. I think, God, I think they're all right. And I do. I find myself messaging them now. And sadly, this year, there has been 2 that I've messaged that I haven't had a reply back to. And then I've had a reply from them. Well, it's not them, because something, untoward's happened, and it's been a family relative who have said, "Oh, I'm ever so sorry, Kevin. I can see that Dad or da used to talk to you, but he passed away, or we had an accident." So keep an eye out. If if you think somebody's missing, check up on.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll only appreciate it as
they
well.
Will,
Won't they?
They will, and it's a nice thing. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now.
Don't you dare! We love
it. I promise.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And everybody talks about the benefits of the hobby, just on mental health and that community, if you want the community, but also if you want to be on your own, and that mindfulness of the activity and the benefits of health. And then, as I said, Carl, the mental detector, he's been on before, and he's got his charity that's set up. So we are Hummingbird, and then there's the Circle of Four on there. So lots of different avenues, and if you ever need somebody, don't be afraid to reach out. There's many of us out there that are just there, a message away. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kev. We will speak to you again soon. It's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck for this coming weekend. I hope you do get out and it's not too wet, and stay lucky.
Likewise. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, and I hope I haven't bored everybody to tears and waffled too much.
No, you've been amazing. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.